So over the past couple weeks, I've been off and on digging this large hole in our yard, or just off our yard really, for a bread oven that my mom is wanting to build. And first couple feet, this is, I don't know, 2.5, 3 feet there, a little bit less on the downhill side, is, well, layer of topsoil and then some just other material before getting down into this really heavy clay, solid clay. But there's just some, as I dig, I'm intrigued by what I see when I'm digging. So I'm connecting to the foundation drain of our house over there for drainage for this. The reason putting in this big deep hole, ideally it'd be 5.5 feet deep to kind of have frost protection, but I don't think it's going to get that deep. It's just rather difficult, but I'm going to get a good chunk of that distance, is so that this soil has water in it, and in the wintertime, particularly because we'll have a shed over the bread oven, there won't be snow on that to keep it insulated, so it'll freeze potentially quite deep. We could probably put down some insulation in there to help with that too, but depth is insulation in its own right. But one of the things I find interesting is that foundation drain was put in by a excavator, I assume, when they were doing our house. And I was able to notice kind of where the ditch was. It was right about here. Not so much by any like visible ditch line, because the difference between that native soil backfill and the kind of existing native soil, there's a slight one. You can maybe see it right about here. Like not this top so much, but right down here you can see kind of that native soil with some iron staining, and then going into just kind of a more uniform, not entirely uniform, but it's definitely very noticeable when I was digging. But right off the edge of that, noticing how there's a layer of kind of nice organic-y topsoil, then there's a layer of kind of the clay soil, and then it goes back to kind of, well, the same soil that was over here. And I'm pretty sure this layer was where, when that was being trenched in, the material was put off to the side and then scooped back up, but not completely. And then over the past 30 years, 29 years that the house has been here, or since that foundation drain was put in, this has built up as good, reasonably good growing soil on top of that. The other interesting thing I was seeing, kind of similar to a lot of rock formations, I noticed there's like kind of infiltrations of different material. Like you've got the kind of the clay, which was laid down when this was a glacial lake thousands of years ago. And then you've got these kind of intrusions through it. And I don't know, this kind of looks like it could be a tree root, but based on the other stuff I was seeing, I don't think that's the case. It's the ditch, and you see those little striation lines. I take a slice out of it. Isn't very much, but keep taking slices out, and well, a tree root you'd expect to be nearly round, but these are really more like cracks, and I don't know what would cause that, but just not a geologist, but it's just kind of one of those things that's just interesting, is that at some point after this was laid down, somehow that clay cracked, and then it's still, I think, pretty clayey material in that. There's definitely a little bit more sandiness in that as opposed to the pure clay in this. But just over here, maybe less so. I'm not really seeing that much of a difference, but I just so intrigued when I see interesting stuff.